Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to have the opportunity to address a few of the points that my Conservative colleagues have made, and I am going to do so in a respectful manner, and I'm not going to resort to petty insults. First of all, I raised this point because given Monday's revelations, I think it is incredibly important for Canada to show a united front. And right now, we're at a stage where the only federal party leader who is refusing to get top security clearance is Mr. Poilievre of the Conservatives. This has gotten to a stage now where his continued refusal to get this clearance is raising far more questions than is necessary. And, in terms of, I don't know what his motives are. I know the Conservatives keep on talking about him being gagged. It certainly hasn't prevented our leader, Jagmeet Singh, from talking openly and frankly about this in a way that does not risk top security information. I think, perhaps for Mr. Poilievre, ignorance is bliss. Perhaps it allows him to continue talking on Twitter and to Canadians about things he absolutely knows nothing about, and maybe he just simply wants to have that freedom to keep on spouting off nonsense and remain in ignorance. I don't know. That's up to him. But he can still refuse to take the clearance. This is simply asking him to do so. It's not even naming him in the motion. It's simply asking that all federal party leaders get the necessary security clearance levels so that we can take the necessary actions to protect Canadians. I do want to address some of the points that my Conservative colleagues have been making about how this would prevent a party leader from taking action. I completely disagree with that, and here's why. We know that in political parties, the leader wields an enormous amount of power. The leader is able to determine who in caucus has what parliamentary roles. The leader is able to determine who gets to run under the party's banner in the next election. They have to sign the nomination papers. And so if Mr. Poilievre was to get this security clearance, and if he was to learn of certain individuals within his own party, and I'm not singling out the Conservatives because we've heard allegations of members in the Liberal Party, but what it would allow him to do is to take the necessary internal actions to maybe isolate those individuals, and if it's very serious, to prevent them from running as members of Parliament under the Conservative Party banner in the next election. He could do all of that without having to breach the top security rules that are in place that prevent the divulgence of this information. So it is false to claim that he can't take action when in fact he could. If there's a compromised member of Parliament or someone who comes over the threshold of suspicious activities on behalf of a foreign power, Mr. Poilievre could prevent that individual from running in the next election, and that would inoculate us from having that person in the House of Commons in the 45th Parliament. So that is a direct action that the leader can take. I also take issue with the way the Conservatives are trying to frame the NDP. We've had two members of our caucus for whom this issue is deeply personal. They have been directly impacted by this, Jenny Kwan and Jagmeet Singh. So I take great issue with them saying that we are doing this for politics. This is a serious and personal issue for our party. It has directly impacted the lives of two of our caucus members, and that needs to be understated. Both China and India have directly impacted two of my fellow caucus members. So this is a very serious issue for us. And it is an issue that our leader takes very seriously, and that is why he took the appropriate steps to get his security clearance, which allows him to take actions that I may not be privy to, but I can operate in a way knowing that the leader has got the information he needs to govern his own caucus accordingly, and that's what we're asking for every party leader to do with their respective caucuses. So to show the Conservatives that I do support us in some way releasing these names, because the other thing I want to also put on point I've had many conversations with members of the security and intelligence community, both at committee and in private conversations. And these are their words, not mine. There is a wide gulf between evidence and intelligence. This needs to be underlined. So we can't just go about releasing the names without understanding that key point. And I don't want to repeat what Ms. May said, but there is a very real danger that we could compromise the way we got that information. So what the Conservatives are essentially asking us to do with their sub-amendment right now is to potentially put our own intelligence operatives at risk. And I think for anyone who sits at this committee, that is completely unacceptable. Again, these are not my words. These are words coming directly from the intelligence and security community. And they know this because they have heard those exact same words from those members at this committee table and in conversations they've had in private with those individuals. So, Mr. Chair, I am going to propose a sub-amendment to Mr. Lloyd's amendment to my motion. Now, his amendment was tacked on to the end, and it simply read that we release the names of all members of Parliament and parliamentarians who are alleged to have interfered and knowingly colluded with foreign powers. My sub-amendment to this would read as follows: that the government release the names of all members of Parliament and all parliamentarians who are alleged to have interfered and knowingly colluded with foreign powers while protecting national security and those who gathered the intelligence. Jenny Kwan, our leader, have said it very much on the record. We would love for the Canadian public to know these names. I hate the fact that I have to serve in the House of Commons with this cloud of suspicion hanging over us. I think Canadians deserve to know. I mean, this caused a huge uproar when that NSICOP report was released in June. But we also have to respect the very real concerns that our intelligence community has repeatedly relayed to this community and to this committee and to its members. And so I do believe that if there is a way of publicly releasing these names, it needs to be done in a very careful fashion, and it needs to be done in a way that is fully coordinated with our national security and intelligence partners on this file. I am not going to support just simply releasing the names with no context, but I will support a non-political, professional way of releasing the names that has the full support of members of the RCMP and CSIS. And if Conservative members are willing to publicly say that they support the important work of those agencies, I hope they will support this sub-amendment to their amendment. I'll conclude there, Mr. Chair.